Hey, what is up guys, GuitarRock here, welcome back to another counter-side video. Alright, today's video we're going to talk about Lee Jisoo, something that a lot of people have been asking me about, alright, especially for the free-to-play players. Should you build Lee Jisoo? Now, how do you get Lee Jisoo? Right now in global server, there's this bingo event going on. So if you guys are not aware, the bingo event, I think some of you have even already completed it, right? So right now, you can do the task to get this data analysis bingo thing, right? And then you can exchange right here to basically fill up all of this. It's basically like a bingo line. Once you completed a line, you get the rewards below the line, right? And you can see in the middle 4, there's analysis mission. And right here, my face cam might be blocking it. Let me turn it off. And you can see the analysis mission right here. You can click. And you can see you need to do 4 of these things actually. So consume 100,000 Ethereum, this will unlock one of it. And then we have a clear 50 simulations, alright. By now, I think that should be easily doable. Recruit 50 times. And the last one is perform dispatch missions for 150 hours, which I have not yet completed. I'll slowly try and work on that. So you gotta like get data analysis. Data analysis can be found from any of the stages with the word event in it. So right now, if you go to the word, if you notice, there's this event, right? Any of this side story, free contract in the event story as well. You also get to farm all the bingo chips basically. So yeah, once you have completed all of these bingo lines, as you can see under the bingo reward, if you complete 1 line, you will get this. If you get 4 lines, you will get that. And 12 lines is required for you to get Lee Jisoo for free. Now, you should still try to get Lee Jisoo regardless, because let me switch to my C account server. So with Lee Jisoo, you need to know that she is limited and you can only get her for free once. Alright, in C server, it's been 1 year, and if you miss her, you miss her. Like, there's no chance of getting her back. The only way to buy her or to get her as a player, let's say if you join global server 2 or 3 months later, is you gotta be paid to win and buy one of these, what do they call this? The permanent package for the classified recruitment package, and this particular package right here, this gives you Lee Jisoo, right? But other than that, if you miss her in this free event, you will miss her permanently. I'm not sure if I like it per se, because it's like not everybody starts playing a game in day 1, right? So some players maybe starts 1 month later, some players starts 2 months later. And some might even start 3 or 4 months later, or even during the anniversary 1 year later. So it happens, and I do think she's an average character. I don't think it's that bad if you miss her out. But let's talk about global in general, right? Should you build Lee Jisoo? Now, first things first, we're gonna try to jump into her kits and have a look overall what she can do in terms of her abilities. Now, keep in mind, Lee Jisoo is a 5-cost supporter unit. She's considered an awakened unit as well. So that means that she will be competing with a lot of other awakened units, right? So let's jump into her skill sets, and then we're going to start analyzing, starting from her basic skill. Now, her basic skill are pretty standard, alright? So all she does is she does AoE damage. 2 valid hits, not too bad. Just like every other character's basic skill, is nothing spectacular right here. But when it comes to passive skill, this is where it gets really interesting. Alright, if you look properly, she has the ability to decrease healing amounts by 90%. And the enemy rangers, strikers, snipers attack speed is decreased by 15%. Of course, if you max this skill up to level 5, you can see the attack speed reduction is going to be minus 25% instead. Now, the attack speed is not too bad actually. This is pretty good for her passive skill. And keep in mind, she has the ability to reduce healing. Now, how good is this skill overall? It's a pretty decent skill in PvP, right? You can counter some team comps, right? There might be some team comps out there that you see. It's going to run like 3 supporters, 4 supporters, 5 supporters even, alongside with 1 awakened heal there, or depending on who they put as their tank, right? As their awakened defender. There are team comps like that you can straight up counter with Lee Jisoo. However, in global, that might be viable for the time being, but once you get more characters, that's gonna fall off a little bit later. Now let's talk a little bit on why. Now first off, in PvP, right? The thing is, yes, if she's alive, she can decrease the healing amounts permanently, decrease by 90%. But that's the thing, you can sort of use, there are a lot of burst heal characters. If you guys are not aware, by now, Claudia Nelson, one of the, if not the best healer in the game. So what makes Claudia Nelson so good? is when you deploy her, she instantly heals 20% HP. Alright, she does have special skill that heals, she does have ultimate skill that heals, but a lot of heal comes from this particular passive skill when you deploy her. For 3 costs alone, that is a lot of healing right there to be done for 20%. So with something like Claudia and even Ares to a certain extent, right? So Ares has kind of a similar ability. Ares restores 10% HP and also give damage resistance plus 10% for 15 seconds upon deployment. So these two characters are something that you deploy and heal instantly. So they sort of can be negated or can be used to counter Lee Jisoo. Now the thing is, in PvP, if you don't deploy your Lee Jisoo first, enemy can use their healers first before you deploy them, and they will get that instant heal. You can't respond to it coincidentally unless you're trying to react to it. But if you put Lee Jisoo first, they can wait for your Lee Jisoo to die, and then they deploy their Claudia or Ares later. So it's like, it's not that big of a deal that you can decrease by 90%. They just have to kill your Lee Jisoo, and she's not like super tanky by any means. She is overall pretty decently tanky at level 110, but I think only if you're willing to put in the investment, right? So yeah, with something like Claudia, I can wait for my all my characters to try to kill your Lee Jisoo first, and then once your Lee Jisoo is dead, then only I deploy my Claudia to get the full bonus healing, and characters like that just negates her decrease by 90% in PvP. Now in PvE, as far as I know, there's not a stage that requires any sort of healing negation. There might be like 1 or 2, but most of the time it's better to just out DPS the heal that the enemy provide, or just try to, you know, cheese through them. That's the thing though, in PvP, supporters are annoying, I understand, but there's so many things that you can do, right? You can use Ingrid to distract them, you can use Elizabeth to try and kill them, you can use Replacer Knight to try to take care of them. Now, if you are playing on C server right now, right? If somebody come and ask me, hey GuitarRock, I'm having trouble with team comps in PvP that try to use one tanky unit alongside with 3 or 4 supporters, what's the best way to counter them? The best character to deal with that is going to be Lily. You can ask anyone on C server, she is the best character, and she is 3 cost compared to Lee Jisoo 5 cost. Instead of reducing healing, use Lily to try to sleep the enemy, and she can do way more. And also, once Awakened Seoyun comes, she's going to be a better unit to counter healers. Now I know Global do not have access to Awakened Seoyun yet, but if you guys are not aware, Awakened Seoyun, she has this ability right here where she will basically swings the sword and deals damage to enemies, and what happens is the affected enemies cannot recover, and in PvP, in Gauntlet, they receive as much damage as their healing amount. So Awakened Seoyun counters healers better than Lee Jisoo. She basically converts whatever healing that the enemy do to damage straight up, right? So if enemy deploys Claudia when Awakened Seoyun is on the map doing the special skill, that Claudia will instantly deal damage to everyone, 20% damage instead of 20% healing. So you can see, you know, there are characters that can, you know, try to counter heal much better than a Lee Jisoo in terms of the aspect of healing. Now let's move on to a different aspect, which is her attack speed reduction. So that one is not too bad. I do think that the attack speed minus 25% on her is definitely her biggest asset right now. But in terms of, you know, decreasing attack speed for rangers, strikers and snipers, I wish this was like for everyone. Because we also have, let's say, Laura Beatrix, which is also another supporter, 3 cost supporter. Alright, she can do sort of similar thing. Alright, Laura Beatrix, attack speed minus 15%, as you can see right here. My face cam is blocking again, let me turn it off. You can see 15% attack speed reduction, and this applies for everyone, defenders included, alright. This can be used to counter like Replacer King, for example, which relies on attack speed as well, and also crit minus 200. I feel like Laura has a much better kit over here if you're going for attack speed reduction. Now attack speed reduction is good for PvP, but for PvE, I don't think you need this. Ideally, it's better for you to build up your units to be tankier if you're struggling with enemy having high attack speed and to reduce the attack speed generally. So that covers the passive skill of things. Now let's move on to her special skill. Okay, now this is where this kit got reworked recently. If you guys are not aware, Lee Jisoo's kit has been reworked, I believe once, right? And Global is getting the reworked version as well. So as you can see, draws her weapon with lightning speed, right? Inflicting AoE damage. The last attack increases its target's damage taken by 15% for 16 seconds. Now this is such a bummer because Lee Jisoo, what she does here is she's going to increase the damage taken for the enemy. This is really good in raid boss. It's really good in a lot of bosses, maybe in danger close to a certain extent. But if you think about it, there's actually one more character that can do what she does better. Alright, this is something, a character that I think is not talked much about, and a character that I sort of regret not pulling in my C server account. And that is this dude right here, Frederick Doma. Now if you guys have been playing raids for a while, you can see the top rankers basically for raids. If you're trying to do Britra raids, you're trying to do inhibitor raids, you're trying to get as much damage as you can, this guy is the best character to do so. Let me show you guys why is that. He has a special skill very similar to Lee Jisoo. Bullet decrease incoming healing, and also enemies damage taken plus 15% added to the debuff. Okay, you can see it's very similar to Lee Jisoo's one. But in terms of the numbers, let's have a look. This guy will proc this every 15 seconds. Lee Jisoo will proc hers every 20 seconds. Decrease healing and enemies damage taken plus 15% debuff lasts for 15 seconds and max 2 stacks, whereas Lee Jisoo lasts for 16 seconds. And you can see Frederick Doma is just a better unit to use in raid comms, in danger close comms. You know why? Because he's a 3-cost unit, and in those team comms, a cost is very important. You want to try to be cost efficient as possible. You want to try to deploy all your units as fast as possible. And being a 3-cost unit versus Lee Jisoo, which is a 5-cost unit, clearly, because she's an awakened unit, so that she just lags a little bit right there. But she's not too bad if you don't have Frederick Doma like me. I'm still using her, but you won't come even close if you're trying to compare your damage to a Frederick Doma. And moving on to her ultimate skill. Now let's talk about what she can do in her ultimate skill. You can see she inflicts AoE damage. This skill's first attack cancels all its target's non-permanent buffs, disables new buffs on them for 15 seconds. Does that sound familiar? Right? Cancels all non-permanent buffs, disables new buffs on them for 15 seconds. If you guys are not familiar, in C server, alright, again, this is in C server, and in the future, this will apply to global as well. We have this operator called Serena Crew. Alright, and everybody and their mom knows how strong Serena Crew is. Now let's read her skill description. Removes non-permanent buffs, casts on all enemies, and adds a buff block effect to them for 6 seconds. Sounds familiar? Exactly the same thing. Serena Crew, as an operator, already she can do the same thing as a Lee Jisoo. Let's look at the second part of her ultimate skill, because her ultimate skill is quite long. Now she also have this thing. If the debuff targets die, her defense increase up to 50%. A barrier by 15% of her max HP after skill. Sort of cool that you have barrier on your ultimate skill, but on your ultimate skill though, that's the issue. I feel like if you want to give a character a barrier, you gotta have it on your special skill, not on your ultimate skill. Now like for example, Estarossa, she has this on her special skill. And it makes sense because when you deploy them, they cast the barrier immediately, right? They cast the special skill immediately. Alright, so for example, Estarossa casts a barrier, 25% of max HP when deployed. You see that Estarossa just have a better kit overall. And Lee Jisoo has this on the ultimate skill. Now what's the issue here? Why is this a big issue, right? Because when you deploy someone, it takes a while for them to cast the ultimate skill. Like you need to be able to keep them alive, right? And that's the issue. For Lee Jisoo, it takes her about 46 seconds. If she doesn't die, yes, she will cast her ultimate skill and she will be able to do all of this cool stuff. But then usually, it just takes a lot of investment to make her stay alive. In ideal PvP scenario, Awakened Hilde it's easier to keep Awakened Hilde alive than a Lee Jisoo alive. And even if you do, like, the 10% increase and barrier of 15% of max HP, it's not that impressive compared to Estarossa's 25%. So you can sort of see Lee Jisoo's issue right now. She's basically the definition of the jack of all trades, master of none. She does a bit of everything, but she doesn't excel in what she does in a particular way. So in terms of not having her, I feel like your account should be fine. Even if you don't have her, a lot of characters, like for example her passive skill, decrease healing, you can counter that. You can use Awakened Sillion instead if you want to counter heals, right? You can use Lily instead if you want to sleep plenty of supporters at the same time. Attack speed decrease, you know, it only covers ranger, striker, snipers. You can use Lara Beatrix rearm instead, right? On her special skill, Frederick Doma just does way better than her in terms of debuffing or amplifying damage, right? For ultimate skill, barrier is cool, but Estarossa has the better barrier overall. So you can sort of see this comparison. So hopefully that gives you guys a better glimpse of, you know, from my perspective, where I see her at compared to a lot of other units that we have available in C server. So you guys can decide if you want to build her. On global server, right now, despite her having an Awakened unit title, she's nowhere near as strong compared to a lot of other Awakened units. And I think if you can ask any veteran players, I believe everyone can collectively agree that Lee Jisoo is probably still the weakest Awakened unit. So for 5 costs, to expect her to turn the tide of battles for you in PvP is just not going to cut it. Just wait till you guys have a look at Awakened Yumina, then you're gonna see the true cancer of PvP, because she is the true tide of the battle. She can actually switch the battles, poof, instantly. So yeah, to recap, if you don't have her, it's fine. If you're free to play, you don't have to prioritize in building her. I feel like she needs a lot of investment to work in PvP. You gotta level her up to 110. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Again, just to reiterate, this is going to be mostly from my point of view and my opinions overall. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section below. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, give this video a like. Have a nice day. Goodbye.